Hello, my name is Prabhu Kavi, creator of Reach4College. In this video, I'm introducing a student named Suman, who had the privilege of coaching this application season and who will be starting college in fall of 2025. Let's start with a brief snippet of the Zoom conversation we had in February 2025 before showing the full video.
Probably was a great help for people like me who don't generally have this sort of guidance. There was nothing like this in my high school, which was way too big for me to get this sort of one-on-one help with my counselor.
After hearing those kind words, I hope you're ready for the full video, which will cover several things. First is why I found Suman to be such a compelling student that I wanted to help. Then you will hear directly from Suman and about his career goals. Then we'll go over how I work with Suman. Every student has different needs, but the specific areas where I help Suman were in helping to create a balanced college list and with essay guidance. Hello, Suman.
Hi, Prabhu.
Hi, so thanks very much for joining me. So for the rest of my audience, I would like to introduce Suman. He was a student who contacted me for free college counseling on my website in October 2024. That was pretty late, given that the applications for the class of 2025, starting college in the class of 2025, were due in just a few months. And at that point, I'd pretty much stopped taking new applications. But after I looked at his profile, I just knew I had to help. Someone had a 4.0 GPA and a 35 ACT score from a public high school in Kentucky. And he had done that in 3 years before taking a gap year to earn some money before attending college. He would be the first in his family to attend college, and so he was exactly the type of student I wanted to help. With that introduction, Suman, would you please tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, so as Prabhu said, I came from a public school here in Kentucky. I've been taking a gap year. I graduated, like he said, in 3 years. And I just kind of had like an ambition to kind of finish high school a little bit early and kind of be able to dive more into my interest in college, and also just to be able to raise some money for college without having to have like an added year of delay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm planning on majoring in computer engineering, which is just really kind of a mix of computer science and electrical engineering. And so a lot of the things that I did throughout high school were kind of using those skills that I had with computers. My biggest extracurricular was an app that I started back in 9th grade called CleanTube, which is an ad blocker for YouTube. And that's reached about 1 million downloads over the years. And outside of that, I also did web design work for nonprofits. There were several like of my ethnic communities that I tried to just volunteer my skills to, and I made a donation system for several of them, which in the end ended up raising about $500,000.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a pretty big impact for a high school student. And the other thing is, you did all this while you have 4 younger sisters, right?
That's true.
But when you finished high school, how old was your youngest one?
My youngest one was only 1.5 years old at that time.
And so you were actually spending a lot of time babysitting your sisters when they got out of school, right? Or not. I mean, actually, I guess the youngest one wouldn't even be in school. So when your parents were working and you were out of school during this gap year, you were actually spending a lot of time taking care of your sisters, and even probably during high school as well.
That's true. Throughout high school, my parents had to do a lot to make ends meet, and a lot of times that meant that I had to try and fill in for that and to help take care of all 4 of the sisters. I mean, that meant cooking dinner a lot of nights, taking care, helping out with homework, all of that, on top of doing my own assignments and doing my other outside of school extracurriculars.
After I got to know you a little bit, it's kind of like I realized that you really had all the right ingredients for a great college application. The analogy I kind of want to make is that like you had figured out all the right ingredients for like a great cake and you baked it, right? Like you were like 90% of the way done. And there's no good way of a student to understand like how to decorate that cake properly so that it looks really great to the people who want to buy it, which in this case are like the selective colleges. And so I felt like that is the part where I have some experience, to basically best tell your story in a way that the colleges want to hear it. Who would want to buy this cake in the sense of like which colleges are the best fits for you, and with a particular emphasis here on two types of colleges. One, which is either a college which provides significant merit scholarships, or the second one being provides significant amount of financial aid. Why don't you talk about like the process we went through?
Well, I remember at the beginning, since I didn't have much guidance, my list was very reach heavy. I
Yes.
think I didn't have any really target schools or safety schools in it. And it was with Prabhu's recommendation that I got some more local public schools that would give me big financial aid. And then also that I kind of just branched out of the main like reach schools that you would know, like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, those sort of schools. And Prabhu also helped me with finding some of those not reach, but like target schools like Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, which is kind of just right up my alley. It's going to give me all the resources that I would need. At the same time, they'll also have financial aid that would work for my financial background.
Mhm.
And then all this is while not just being kind of a coin toss as to whether I'm going to get into.
Correct.
And
Right.
on top of that, he also gave me like some schools that were a little bit in between a target and a reach. I mean, he had a system of like the 5 sections that I'm sure you'll find out about, which kind of divides it up where there are like gray zones in between safety and targets, and then targets and reach.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was like the essay process. And I know I pushed pretty hard on the essay process, so I want to let you talk about that part.
The essays, they never really came all that naturally to me at the beginning. I guess it was in having much people to guide me through it during high school and then being on a gap year as well. And Prabhu was a big help on this because I was kind of clueless as to kind of where to start. I remember when we were applying for early decision to my early ED school, it was like 2 weeks away. That's when I met Prabhu, and I was kind of just lost on the main Common App essay. And through Prabhu's recommendations and him kind of like digging into my story, he was able to give me a topic that ended up working for me and that I feel really confident in now for the main application season.
Mhm.
And even with all the supplementals, he was able to always offer help, advice, and guidance on what areas needed improvement, what topics needed to be changed, better ways to rephrase certain ideas for somebody like me who really isn't all that into writing these sort of essays.
Right. And I want to emphasize again, I didn't, I didn't write his essays. I don't write other students' essays.
Yeah.
Basically, the real probing and the pushing was to find his story and effectively figure out how to best tell his story.
The remainder of this video was recorded in April, after all regular decisions came out, whereas the earlier part of this video was recorded back in February. I think you'll agree that someone had great acceptances after hearing them, and I will let him share those with you now. All right, so you're feeling good about your college admissions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do in this is just kind of have you kind of go through the different places you've been admitted and stuff, and starting from the safeties, then kind of going to the match school, and then of course the reach school. And the safeties, you've received a lot of merit aid with those. So let's just kind of go through with that.
So the first school was University of Louisville, which is my home city
Hmm.
public school, and I was accepted there and got an entire full ride and tuition, rooms, everything was covered. And next was University of Kentucky, which is my state public school, which is outside of the city, but also a public school. I also was offered full tuition, full boarding, food, everything was covered there as well.
Okay.
Then it was the University of Cincinnati, which has an agreement with my state, Kentucky, to offer in-state tuition and in-state financial aid to Kentucky residents. And so I also ended up getting everything covered there as well. And the next safety, moving on from there, the next safety school, more of a reach school, I would say, was Kettering University in Michigan. And they offered me a very generous financial aid package, and it would have been a great school to go to as well.
Yeah, particularly with their interest in basically automotive design as well, because that's kind of so for just for others, Kettering used to be basically General Motors training ground and became and spun off as an independent university afterwards.
Absolutely. And so, with my interest in automotive and the automotive industry in general, and all of the internships and experience that I could get there, I mean, it was a great match with me. So, that was also another school that I was accepted to with very generous financial aid and grants.
Mhm.
And moving on from there was Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute up in
Right,
New York.
which is more of a match school, actually, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. That was a match school too, because of, I mean, it's just focused on technology and engineering. And they also offer a lot of automotive related internships there. They have partnerships with General Motors and other automotive companies that would have made it a great fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also accepted there with very generous financial aid. And I would have also would have worked. The financial aid package would have been great. Would have worked with my family as well.
Right, right.
And then moving on to Reach
Yeah.
schools, I was accepted to Northwestern University, and practically almost everything was covered with them. And that's most likely where I'm going to be committing as well.
Which is fantastic. And I think one of the things that's interesting is, you know, is that because you were such a strong student, you got merit at the schools which offered merit, and then when you start getting into the, yeah, I think RPI was actually mostly merit as well. In fact, it was mostly a merit scholarship. Once you get to the level of like the top 20 schools, most of them don't offer merit, but they offer pretty generous need-based financial aid, and that's what Northwestern was able to offer you as well. I hope you have enjoyed watching Summon's well-deserved success in college admissions, and I am thrilled to have played a small part in this. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, as it will encourage me to make more videos about the selective college admission process. And if you're an exceptionally strong student like Summon, please contact me through my website, Reach4College.com, so that you can also be considered for free college counseling. Thank you, and cheers.